Hello everyone, so buckle up because this is probably going to be a little bit of a long video, so apologies in advance. I just want to say sorry for the background noise. I will try and fix it in post, but someone is working on their car next door. So if you can hear it, please ignore it and I'm so sorry. Anyway, in today's video, we are doing my priority reads of 2026 or my 26 books of 2026. So if you guys saw my setting up my reading journal, you guys would have seen the books that I had in there for my 26 books of 2026. And today we're going to go through them all. You guys also would have seen there was 4 got put on my TBR for January, which is fantastic. Super happy about that. So we're going to start with those ones because I'm not going to go too in depth about them because obviously they were literally last week's video, the last video before this. So I'm just going to read you the title of them rather than read you the back. So let's get into it. Okay, so the ones that are on January's TBR, we have Fallen Academy Year 1 by Leah Stone. You guys know that Leah Stone is an author that I have found over the last year and a bit. So through 2025 and also the end of 2024, I believe was the first time I read one of her books and really love her. She's quickly becoming an author that I really love and stand by. So I'm very excited to be reading this series. We also have A Touch of Darkness that was put on the TBR for January. Again, super excited for this. A Persephone and Hades retelling. Super excited for that. I love Persephone and Hades. So super excited for this book as well. This is by Scarlett Sinclair. We also have Beneath the Stars by Emily McIntire. The reason why this is on the priority for 2026 is I just love Emily McIntire and would like to get through her debut series, which was this series, and get through some of her backlog so that as she releases new books I can just get straight into those. So that's why this one is on the list. The 4th one is A Heart So Green by Leia Celine. I will put it up on the screen because it doesn't come out until later this month, so obviously I don't have the physical on me, so I will just put a photo up. I cannot read you the back of that if I even wanted to because it is the 3rd and final book in the Fair Folk trilogy. So you have A Feather So Black, A Crown So Silver, and then A Heart So Green. Then moving on to the other ones that I have. So this is in no particular order. They're not even in order of what's on my reading journal. They're just stacked up next to me and we have a lot of books to go through. So let's go through them, shall we? The first one is A Court This Cruel and Lovely by Darcey Stark, I believe is how you say her name. I have just had this book for a really long time and just not gotten around to it, so I'm eager to make this a priority this year. I will quickly read you the back. It says, just hours after humans are born, the gods take what little power we have. In return, they protect our borders from the vicious, merciless Fae. Ooh, I didn't realize it was like that. Sounds super interesting. I'm super excited for that now. The humans who manage to keep their power are known as the corrupt, and they are put to death. When my forbidden power is discovered, I'm forced to flee my tiny village and the life I adore. To survive, I make a desperate bargain with a mercenary, a dark and brooding man whose face I have been seeing in my dreams. It's agreed that I'll help him into the city and he'll help me learn to wield the strange dark power I've always kept hidden. The power that may just be the key to my survival. But the ruthless mercenary is hiding secrets of his own. Secrets that threaten the safety of everyone I love. Secrets that could tear this kingdom and perhaps even this world apart. That sounds so interesting and very glad that I put this on the priority for 2026. Then we have Bride by Ali Hazlewood. This is a book that Book Bestie and I want to buddy read, and I've put it on my priority TBR because it'll force us to read it this year. So very excited for this. I love the concept of a paranormal romance between a vampire and a werewolf. That just sounds super interesting to me. Kind of gives me, is it not Resident Evil? Can't think of what it is. Underworld? Gives me Underworld vibes. So the back says, Misery Lark, the only daughter of the most powerful vampire councilman of the Southwest, is an outcast again. Her days of living in anonymity, I can never say this word, anonymity, that's not right, but you guys know what I mean, among the humans are over. She has been called upon to uphold a historic peacekeeping alliance between the vampires and their mortal enemies, the Wares, and sees little choice but to surrender herself in the exchange again. Wares are ruthless and unpredictable, and their alpha, Lo Morland, is no exception. He rules his pack with absolute authority, but not without justice, and unlike the Vampire Council, not without feeling. It's clear from the way he tracks Misery's every movement that he doesn't trust her. If only he knew how right he was. Because Misery has her own, I love that name too, Misery. Because Misery has her own reasons to agree to this marriage of convenience. Reasons that have nothing to do with politics or alliances and everything to do with the only thing she's ever cared about. And she's willing to do whatever it takes to get back what's hers, even if it means a life alone in Were territory, alone with the wolf. So that does sound super interesting, and I'm excited to buddy read it with Book Bestie. Then we have The Light That Blinds Us by Andy Darcey Theo. This is just another book that I've had on the TBR for a really long time. My best friend bought this for me for my birthday in 2024, I believe. So I've literally had it on the TBR for so long. Need to read it this year. The back says, when consumed by shadow, even the faintest light can be blinding. After a childhood haunted by hallucinations, Alexis Michael's only comfort is the blue amulet he's had since before he can remember. Now the visions have gone and Alexis craves a normal life. But when a trip to Stonehenge unites him with 3 other teens carrying similar gems, normality is abandoned as they are plunged into a hidden world of power-wielding elementals and told they are destined to save the world from an eternal night. But a dark past plagues Alexis as they prepare to defeat their enemy, and a looming secret starts to corrupt the mission, their lives, and his mind. 4 friends, 4 powers, 1 epic destiny. And I do know that the second book has come out, and I think the third book is coming out this year. So again, that's why this is on the priority. It needs to be read this year. Then obviously this one's self-explanatory. A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. I have read the entire series to date, except for this book, and we have had teasers that she is in the process of writing the next 2 books in this series. So I need to get to this book. I'm not going to read you the back because it is the 4th book technically, because the novella is 3.5. The one before this is a novella, so book 4/5 in this series. So I'm not going to read you the back of this one because I don't want to spoil anything for you. Then we have Empire of the Vampire by Kristoff. Again, this was gifted to me by Book Bestie at the end of 2024 for Christmas. He gave it to me and I still haven't read it yet. Needs to be read this year. I know it was on the priority TBR or the priority list for 2025 and I didn't get around to it, so this needs to get read this year. Has to be read this year. I will read you the back. It does sound super interesting. I am just so intimidated by the size of it and how tiny the writing is. Like, the writing is so small, so that's why I haven't read this yet. But the back says, it has been 27 long years since the last sunrise. Ever since, vampires have waged war against humanity, building their eternal empire as they tear down our own. Gabrielle de Leon, half man, half monster, and last remaining Silver Saint, sworn brother to the Holy Silver Order, is dedicated to defending the realm from the creatures of the night, is all that stands between the world and its end. Imprisoned by the very monsters he has vowed to destroy, Gabriel is forced to tell his story, a story of legendary battles and forbidden love, of faith lost and friendships won, of the war of the blood and the forever king, and the quest for humanity's last remaining hope, the Holy Grail. So it does sound super interesting. It is right up my alley and I totally trust Book Bestie's recommendation. I'm just intimidated by the book, so it just needs to be read this year though. Then we have the 3rd and final book in the Souls trilogy by Harley Laroux. This is Soul of a Witch. Again, I'm not going to read you the back because I do not want to spoil anything that happens in the first 2 books, because I do find that these kind of run along the same timelines as well as like a little bit after or a little bit before, so don't want to spoil anything for you. But I loved the first 2 books in this series and I would love to finish this series off, so that's why this one is on the priority for 2026. I do also have some on here that are new releases of 2026 that are also priority reads, so I will tell you them at the end because I'll pop little photos of them up, because obviously I do not have the physical. Like I said, well, I think I only have one more because yeah, I had Heart So Green, which I've already told you about because that's on the TBR for January. So the next book we have is The Shadow House by Anna Downs. I do have 2 Anna Downs books in my priority reads for 2026 because I do love her writing. I've only read 1 book by her and I was so obsessed with it and I need to read more of her stuff, so that's why I've got 2 in here. This is The Shadow House by Anna Downs. This sounds so interesting. I'm so excited to read this, so I will read you the back. It says, when single mother Alex flees her abusive relationship and moves with her teenage son and baby girl to a rural eco-village, she thinks she's made the best decision of her life. Pine Ridge is idyllic. The off-grid lifestyle and remote location are perfect, and the community is welcoming, mostly. Charmed by its magnetic founder, Kit, and the natural beauty of the former farmland, Alex settles easily into her new home. But her arrival at Pine Ridge disturbs barely submerged secrets, and she's shaken by a series of eerily familiar events that seem to be connected to the abandoned farmhouse on the hill. Alex realizes that in escaping her own shadowy past, she may have stumbled into someone else's, and this time there may be nowhere to run. Sounds so interesting. She writes the best like suspense mystery thrillers, honestly. She's amazing. Obsessed with it. The other Anna Downs book we have is The Safe Place by Anna Downs. This one doesn't intrigue me as the others, but I really want to get through it because I do, like I said, I really enjoyed Red River Road by her, and so I really want to get to this book, and The Shadow House sounds so interesting. This does not pique my interest quite as much, but I want to read it, so it's on the priority list for this year. So the back says, for struggling actress Emily Proudman, life in London is not working out as planned. In fact, it's falling apart. So when she's offered a live-in job working for a wealthy family on their luxurious coastal property in France, she jumps at the opportunity to start over. The estate is picture perfect and its owners exude charisma and sophistication, but as Emily gets to know the family, their masks begin to slip, and what at first appears to be a dream come come true turns out to be a prison from which none of them will ever escape, unless Emily can find a way to set them all free. So it does sound interesting. It just doesn't pique my interest quite as much as the other books. Okay, the next one that we're going to talk about is another new release that is coming out this year, and it is What We Did to Survive by Meg and Lally. I read That's Not My Name last year. When I'm filming this, I'm currently reading No Place Left to Hide, and I am obsessed. I think she is such a brilliant author, and I cannot wait to read this book. Again, I don't have the synopsis because obviously it hasn't come out yet, so I don't have the physical book. Yes, I could get it online, but if I was to do that, I would literally be here for days. So, and I'm not trying to do all that. And on the top of the list that was in my 26 books is Consider Me by Becca Mack. Again, I've just had this on the TBR for a really long time. I know it's an ice hockey romance, and I love ice hockey romance, and I've heard really good things about this series. So I would like to at least read the first book and, you know, figure out if I want to read it or not. So I'll read you the back. It says, for a shot at love, he'll do whatever it takes. Carter Becca is the NHL's best player, both on and off the ice. His career is at its peak, his team is performing better than ever, and there's no shortage of women to spend the night with. What more could he want? Olivia Parker isn't new to professional hockey players, thanks to her best friend's boyfriend, but she has no interest in dating one herself, no matter how hot he is. And anyways, she loves working as a teacher and hanging out with her best friend, drama-free. Why would she want to spend her time stroking the ego of an arrogant athlete? But once Carter beats Olivia, he can't think of anyone else. Too bad for him, Olivia is hellbent on keeping him at arm's length with no intention of giving in to his charms. Perhaps it's time for Carter to up his game. After all, nobody ever said he had to play fair. Sparks will fly as Carter does whatever it takes for Olivia to consider him. So it does sound super interesting. Again, it's not something that super sparks my interest, which is why it's on the priority list, because if it's here, I can keep myself more accountable. So that is the next book. Then we have First Time Caller by BK Borison. I am really eager to read this around Valentine's Day. I've heard it's very Valentine's Day-esque, and the second book to this series comes out in February. So I feel like Valentine's Day would be the perfect time to read it. The second book comes out on the 26th, so literally perfect time to read it. On the back, it says, Aiden Valentine has a secret. He's fallen out of love with love, which as the host of Baltimore's romance hotline Heartstrings is a bit of a problem. When a young girl calls into the station asking for dating advice for her mother, Lucy, the interview goes viral, thrusting Aiden and Heartstrings into the limelight. Lucy Stone thought she was doing just fine, but with all of Baltimore scrutinizing her love life, or lack thereof, she begins to question whether she's as happy as she thought. Maybe a little more romance wouldn't be such a bad thing. Everyone wants Lucy to find her happy ending, even the handsome, temperamental man calling the shots. But as sparks start to fly behind the scenes, Lucy must make the final call between a radio-sponsored happily ever after or the man in the headphones next to her. So it does sound really, really sweet. I've heard it's like Sleepless in Seattle. Not that I've watched that movie, I'm just telling you what other people have told me, and it just sounds really sweet, and like I said, sounds perfect for Valentine's Day, so that'll be read around then. Then we have The Games Gods Play by Abigail Owen. This is a book, again, I've had on the physical TBR for far too long. I've had it there for almost 2 years now, so I really need to get to it. Every time I read the back, I'm super intrigued by it, but I just didn't get round to it last year, sorry. I will read you the back. It says, the gods love to play with us mere mortals, and every 100 years we let them. I have never been favored by the gods, far from it, thanks to Zeus. Living as a cursed office clerk for the Order of Thieves, I just keep my head down and hope the Caprius, I don't know, begins who rule from Olympus won't notice me. Not an easy feat, given San Francisco is Zeus's patron city, but I make do. I survive until the night I tangle with a different god, the worst of gods, Hades. For the first time ever, the ruthless, mercurial king of the underworld has entered the crucible, the deadliest contest the gods hold to determine a new ruler to sit on the throne of Olympus. But instead of fighting their own battles, the gods name mortals to compete in their stead. So why in the underworld did Hades choose me, a sarcastic nobody with a curse on her shoulders, as his champion? And why does my heart trip up every time he says I'm his? I don't know if I'm a pawn, bait, or something else entirely to this dangerously tempting god. How can I, when he has more secrets than stars in the sky? But Hades is playing by his own rules, and death will win at any cost. I also know that the second book in this series is definitely out, so like definitely want to get to this one sooner rather than later, and also love like a good trials and games, gods, all that sort of stuff. Love it. Then we have When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. Again, the second book in this series comes out very soon. I have started to read this because Book Bestie and I are going to do a buddy read of this, and this is a book that I will be reading on TikTok live. So if you want to see that, make sure you head over to my TikTok because I will be doing that this year. It says, he's fire and brimstone, I'm shattered ice. I'll gladly burn beneath him until the world comes crumbling down. As an assassin for the rebellion, Rave's job is to complete orders and never get caught. When a rival bounty hunter shatters her world, Rave finds herself captured by the Guild of Nobles, a group of powerful fae. Crushed by the loss of his great love, Dragon Rider Khan Vagor took the head of the king and donned his metal crown. Now on a tireless quest to quell the never-ebbing ache in his chest, a clue lures him into the capital's high-security prison where he stumbles upon the imprisoned Rave. Together they seek truths that threaten to unravel everything they know about their world and each other. Super excited for this book. Again, super excited for the next book in this series as well. So that definitely needs to be read ASAP. Then the next one we have is Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. This is just obviously like a series that I really want to read, and now having read the first 3 books in the McIntire series, I know I can go on to this one. This is another one Book Bestie and I want to buddy read this year, and that is also partly why it is on the priority list for 2026, because it'll force both of us to read it. So I will read you the back. It says, lethal, loyal, legendary. In a land without magic, an assassin is summoned to the castle. She has no love for the vicious king who rules from his throne of glass, but she has not come to kill him. She has come to win her freedom. If she defeats 23 murderers, thieves, and warriors in a competition, she will be released from prison to serve as the king's champion. Her name is Selena Sardothian. The crown prince will provoke her, the captain of the guard will protect her, and a princess from a faraway country will befriend her. But something rotten dwells in the castle, and it's there to kill. When her competitors start dying mysteriously one by one, Selena's fight for freedom becomes a fight for survival and a desperate quest to root out the evil before it destroys her world. So that sounds super interesting. I don't think I've ever read the back, so I'm super excited for that series as well. I obviously loved ACOTAR. ACOWAR was my favorite, so I am excited for that series as well. Then we have Slaying the Vampire Conqueror. Yes, Slaying the Vampire Conqueror by Kristoff Broadbent. This is a Crowns of Nyaxia novella. This is the 2.5, so it goes after the Nightborn duet. I will read you the back because I know that usually the novellas, actually no I won't, just in case there's spoilers. I don't want to risk spoiling it for you. This is the only book that I have left to read until the 5th book in the series comes out, so that's why this is on the priority TBR for this year. I also weirdly have bought the special edition for it without even really reading it, so anywho. Then we have part of the reason why I've done this, because you guys will be like, but you haven't read the 2nd book in that series yet. When I'm filming this, it's still December, and I do have it like I'm trying to kick a reading slump, and it's one book that I want to read before the end of the year, so in the next couple of weeks. But it's also, this book is also on the priority TBR because it'll force me to read both of them before Burn comes out. So this is Heat of the Everflame by Penn. This is the 3rd book in the Kindred's Curse saga. I'm not going to read you the back because obviously I don't want to spoil anything with this being the 3rd book. But Burn of the Everflame is supposed to come out this year. I do know that the date has been pushed back multiple times, but apparently it's supposed to come out this year, so I'm hoping that it does, and I would like to read this before then, obviously. This is a chunker. I think this is like 1,000 pages or something. Almost 1,000 pages. It's like 900 pages. 800 pages, so that is that one. Then we have Fearful by Lauren Roberts, obviously the last book in the Powerless trilogy, even though there's 2 novellas. This is a novella to Powerless, and I am super excited for this. I have tried to sit down and read it a couple of times, but I always just end up like forgetting about it. I know that sounds really mean, but I do, and yeah, so that's why this is on the priority TBR for 2026. I would love to be able to, you know, just tick this entire series off. Not going to read you the back because it is a novella of a completed series, and it is the last novella, last book in that series. I don't want to ruin anything for anyone. So that's there. Then we have Wicked Beauty by Katee Robert, and the reason why this one is on there is because the 10th and final book in this series comes out this year. I can't remember when it comes out. I will tell you. In June. So if I see this one on my priority, you know, 26 books of 2026, I should be more inclined to get through this series so I can read Shattered Gods, and that is the plan. I love this series. It's called the Dark Olympus series. These are a series of interconnected standalones, and they're modern retellings of Greek mythology, and I'm obsessed. I love them. The 2 that I've read so far, absolutely loved, and all 3 of the books I've read by Katee Robert so far, I have absolutely loved. I will read you the back because they are interconnected standalones. They're not huge spoilers. She was never ours to claim. In Olympus, you either have the power to rule or you are ruled. Achilles Callus may have been born with nothing, but as a child he vowed he would claw his way into the poisonous city's inner circle. Now that a coveted role has opened to anyone with the strength to claim it, he and his partner Patroclus Photus plan to compete and double their odds of winning. Neither expect infamous beauty Helen Kasos to be part of the prize or the complicated fire that burns the moment she looks their way. Zeus may have decided that Helen is his to give away, but she has her own plans. She enters the competition as a middle finger to the meddling 13 rulers, effectively vying for her own hand in marriage. Unfortunately, there are those who would rather see her dead than leading the city. The only people she can trust are the ones she can't keep her hands off of, Achilles and Patroclus. But can she really believe they have her best interests at heart when every stolen kiss is a battlefield? And it says, a scorchingly hot modern retelling of Achilles, Patroclus, and Helen of Troy. Literally, this series is so amazing. I loved Neon Gods and I loved Electric Idol. Very excited to continue on with this series. Also, Greek mythology is some of my favorite mythology as well, so that's the main reason, not the main reason, one of the main reasons I'm so excited for it. Oh, I forgot to get Catabasis down. Okay, the next one in my list is Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. I've just heard really awesome things about this, and also after reading the Shadowborn duet by Carrisa Broadbent and learning more about Underworld and about the Underworld and seeing different people's perspective, also after reading For Whom the Bell Tolls and what that's like, I'm super excited to get more involved with this. I will read you what it says. I also love, this is how you can tell the authors actually know what they're doing with writing, but look at how tiny that synopsis is. So I'll read you the synopsis. It says, grad student Alice Law has only ever had one goal, to become the brightest mind in the field of analytic magic. But the only person who can make her dream come true is dead and inconveniently in hell. And Alice, along with her biggest rival, Peter Murdoch, is going after him. But hell is not as the philosophers claim. Its rulers are upside down, and if she's going to get out of there alive, she and Peter will have to work together. That's if they can agree on anything. Will they triumph or kill each other trying? Sounds super interesting. This is also one of the Sprayed Edges editions, hardcover from Kmart. It was the only copy they had, so I just picked that up because why not? Then we have Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver. Again, this is just another one that's been on the TV, like the physical TBR, for far too long. I would love to form my own opinion about this because I've heard so much about it on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, all those things. So I'd love to form my own opinion. I will read you the back. It says, every serial killer needs a friend. Every game must have a winner. When a chance encounter sparks an unlikely bond between rival murderers Sloane and Rowan, the two find something elusive, the friendship of a like-minded pitch black soul. Stalking across the country, the two hunters collide in an annual game of blood and suffering, one that pits them against the most dangerous monsters in the country. But as their friendship develops into something deeper, the restless ghosts left in their wake are only a few steps behind them, ready to claim more than just their newfound romance. Can Rowan and Sloane ding themselves out of a game of graves, or have they finally met their match? Sounds super interesting. I have heard it's very controversial, but I'm all for a controversial book if you get what I mean. I missed this one, that's fine. The next one we have is another Sarah Cate book, and it is Eyes on Me by Sarah Cate. I don't know why I said another Sarah Cate book because the other Sarah Cate book isn't in this, but that's fine. This is the second book in the Salacious Players Club, and I loved Praise so much, and I love Sarah Cate's writing, so I'm super excited to continue on with this series specifically. I can read you the back of this as well because they are interconnected standalones. They follow different characters as well, so I can read you this without it spoiling anything. So the back says, he's a voyeur, he likes to watch. Also, that's the reason why I love her books, because they're all like BDSM things. I love BDSM, love it. So this says, he's a voyeur, he likes to watch. In Garrett Porter's line of work, that's a gift. As one of the owners of the Salacious Players Club, he is comfortable on the sidelines and has always felt that he works best alone, until he stumbles on a camgirl app and finds himself watching the one person he should stay far away from, his stepsister, Mia Harris. There are three big problems with this. 1, Mia and Garrett can't stand each other. 2, she has no idea he's the man on the other end of the video. And 3, he's hooked on the app and on her. Now Mia has awakened something in Garrett. She has him wanting and doing things he said he'd never do again, like opening up and getting attached. He's falling for her, but she's falling for the man he's only pretending to be. If he's going to make this right, he has to do more than just watch. I love that. I know that it's kind of gross, you know, being step siblings, but like they're not related, it's fine. I know, controversial opinion, that's fine. And then the final one we have is Fangs for Nothing by Stephanie Holmes. Again, this is another one that Book Bestie gifted me for my birthday this year, and it sounds so interesting. Even if I just read you the stuff on the front, like it gets me. It says, small town book club, big vampire energy. I think that's hilarious. Even though I don't like small town, it still sounds super interesting. If I read you the back, it says, a cozy paranormal romance featuring a grumpy vampire and a sunshine human, a meddling book club, and a compelling murder mystery, and endless cups of tea. Like, that's got me straight away. Anyway, I'll read you the actual synopsis. It says, Lord Alaric Valerian has a problem. His mother is visiting his castle for the first time, but she doesn't know that Alaric has filled every room with centuries of his artistic projects. Desperate, he hires professional organizer Winnie Preston to help him tame the mess. Yet Alaric isn't prepared for bubbly, passionate Winnie to show up at his castle. She sets his fangs on edge, but the more he works with her, the more he wishes she could be his. To complicate things further, Alaric's mother arrives with a surprise in tow, a bride. Shocked and dismayed, Alaric convinces Winnie to pretend to be his fiancée to avoid the dreaded union. What could go wrong? For one thing, Winnie still doesn't know Alaric's a vampire, and for another, Winnie's meddling book club suspects Alaric for a mysterious murder in the village. Will their maybe not so fake relationship survive once Winnie discovers the monster that lurks beneath his fangs? That sounds so interesting, so funny, so super excited for that. I'm excited for all of the books that are on the priority list for 2026, obviously. So that is the end of today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did enjoy it, make sure you like and subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and you might see some of these videos get read in some reading vlogs, and if not, you'll see some of them, if not all of them, get a review in my reading wrap-ups throughout the year. So make sure you turn on the notification bell for that. If you don't already follow me on TikTok and Instagram, make sure you head over there to follow me over there. My goal is to be way more active on those apps this year. And if you want any annotated books by me, or if you want to purchase my reading journal, there is a link to my Etsy shop in the description as well as on the screen as well. It's there in every single video. And that is it for me today. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye. Mwah.